I woke up before the sun today, not because I had somewhere to go. At 85, there is nowhere left you have to be. I woke up because my body knows time differently now. It doesn't rush anymore. It listens. I sat by the window and watched the light slowly push the darkness out of the room. That's when it hit me. I am 85 years old. When you say that number out loud, it doesn't sound real. It sounds like a story about someone else. But this body, these hands, have lived every one of those years. At this age, mornings are honest. No distractions, no noise. Just you and the weight of everything you've lived through. People think getting old is about losing strength. They're wrong. What you lose is illusion. By 85, the world has stripped you down to the truth. This house used to be loud. Footsteps, laughter, arguments that felt urgent at the time. Now the silence isn't empty, it's crowded. It's full of voices that no longer answer back. I've buried parents, friends I thought would outlive me. People who once knew every version of me, gone. And the strangest part is this: life doesn't stop when they do. The world keeps moving, faster than ever. And one day you realize you're no longer part of the main conversation. At 85, you become a background character in a story that belongs to the young. They rush past you. They worry about money, status, being seen, being right. From where I'm standing now, most of what they're chasing looks painfully fragile. They ask me questions sometimes. What's the secret? What would you change? They expect something complicated, but the truth is simple, brutal, and most people realize it when it's too late. Here it is. You don't own anything in this life. Not your house, not your career, not even the people you love most. In my 40s, I believed ownership was security. I built things, protected them, defended them like they defined who I was. But at 85, I look around and see how temporary all of it was. Homes I poured my soul into now belong to strangers. Achievements I thought would echo have faded into footnotes or disappeared completely. Even my name is slowly being forgotten outside of a shrinking circle. And that used to terrify me until I understood something. You were never meant to keep any of it. People are not possessions. They are visits. Your spouse, your children, your closest friends. They are all on loan. We suffer not because they leave, but because we convince ourselves they were supposed to stay forever. When you stop trying to hold people and start learning how to be present with them, loss changes shape. It still hurts, but it softens. It turns into gratitude. Because love, real love, is the only thing time can't take away. It doesn't rot. It doesn't get sold. It doesn't vanish when the house gets quiet. At 85, I've learned that the most expensive things in life are often free and ignored. When you're young, you live for milestones. The big day, the big win, the moment that proves you made it. I wasted years staring at the horizon, thinking happiness was waiting just ahead. But life was happening in the small spaces I rushed through. The coffee that went cold because I was distracted. The conversations I half listened to. The ordinary mornings I treated like obstacles instead of gifts. If I could go back, I wouldn't chase more success. I would chase more attention. Listen without preparing my reply. Because here's the truth no one tells you until you're old. The moments that save you at the end are never the ones you brag about. They're quiet, almost invisible. And when everything else falls away, those small moments are what remain. But there is something harder than loss waiting for you in old age. Solitude. Not loneliness, solitude. When the noise fades and the world leaves you alone with yourself, most people spend their entire lives avoiding that meeting. They fill their days with noise, work, screens, other people's expectations. Because being alone with yourself requires honesty. At 85, running is no longer an option. Your body won't allow it. So you sit. And in that sitting, I discovered something most people never do. The quality of your old age depends entirely on your relationship with yourself. If you've spent your life at war with who you are, old age becomes unbearable. But if you've learned to forgive yourself, to accept the younger versions of you who didn't know better, something beautiful happens. You become your own refuge. I've made peace with the man I used to be, the foolish one, the proud one, the scared one. And in that peace, I found strength I never had when I was young. People ask me if I have regrets. Of course I do, but regret changes with age. I don't regret failing. I regret hesitating. The risks I didn't take, the love I didn't express because I was afraid of looking weak. But what hurts most, what stays with you in the quiet, is not the mistakes. It's the moments you chose ego over kindness. Because at the end of life, being right means nothing if you're alone. And this is where most people realize the brutal truth, but only after time has run out. When time starts running out, it becomes brutally honest with you. At 85, you don't wonder if your days are numbered. You feel it in the way mornings arrive faster and nights linger longer. Time stops negotiating. It doesn't care about your plans, your pride, or your unfinished arguments. That's when you finally understand something that would have changed everything if you'd learned it earlier. Time doesn't reward intensity. It rewards sincerity. I spent years believing that if I worked harder, spoke louder, pushed more, I'd earn peace someday. I thought life was something to conquer, but life was never the enemy. The enemy was distraction. The enemy was postponing what mattered for what looked urgent. I remember all the times I said, I'll call them later. Later turned into never more times than I want to admit. Here's a truth that settles deep in your bones at 85. You don't miss people when they leave. You miss who you were with them. The jokes that only worked with one person. The version of yourself that existed only in their presence. That's why loss hurts the way it does. It's not subtraction, it's erasure. And once you realize that, something shifts. You stop trying to win arguments. You stop rehearsing comebacks in your head. You stop keeping score because no one reads the scoreboard at the end. I've watched names get crossed out in my address book one by one, and with each one the grudges attached to them suddenly looked ridiculous. Being right is expensive. It costs relationships, it costs peace, and eventually it costs time you don't have. If you take nothing else from an 85-year-old man, take this. Kindness ages better than intelligence. Long after sharp opinions fade, people remember how safe they felt around you. Long after achievements blur, they remember whether you listened. At this stage of life, I no longer ask, was I impressive? I ask, was I gentle when it mattered? Another truth reveals itself late, too late for most. You were never meant to be important forever. When the world stopped needing me the way it once did, I felt invisible. It hurt more than I expected. But invisibility comes with a strange gift. Freedom. Freedom from performance. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from needing applause to feel alive. I now understand my role is not to lead the parade. It's to witness it, to sit quietly and watch the cycle continue, to see my grandchildren carry pieces of me forward without realizing it. I see my father's eyes in my grandson's face. I hear my mother's voice echo in phrases I never taught anyone. That's when it hits you. You were never the whole story. You were a chapter. And that's enough. There is peace in letting go of relevance. Peace in knowing you don't have to prove anything anymore. At 85, gratitude becomes fierce. Not polite gratitude, not surface-level appreciation. A gratitude so deep it almost hurts. Grateful that I got to love, even knowing it would end. Grateful that I felt lost because it meant something mattered. Grateful that I woke up thousands of mornings without realizing how rare that was. I've seen roughly 31,000 sunrises, and somehow the most meaningful ones were the quietest. Here's the final truth, the one that gives this video its name. Life doesn't end when you die. It ends when you stop paying attention. Most people don't run out of time. They run out of presence. They live years on autopilot and call it living. If you're listening to this and you're younger than me, please don't wait. Don't wait to say the thing. Don't wait to forgive. Don't wait to notice the ordinary miracle of being here. The breath you just took was not guaranteed. The person beside you is not permanent. The moment you're in right now will never repeat itself. That's not tragic. That's sacred. At 85, I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. Because I finally understand this. The light never disappears. It just moves forward into the people you loved, the kindness you gave, the moments you chose presence over pride. If this feels heavy, good. It means you're awake. Sit with it. And if you can, reach out to someone today. Not to fix anything, not to reopen old wounds. Just to say, I'm glad you're here. One day, you'll wish you had. Thank you for sitting with me for a while. If this stayed with you, pass it on. Time is generous, but only once, before it's too late.